This is the new, or so they say, Suzuki Swift. It looks very similar to the one from 2017. What's new about it, and is it worth upgrading to? Let's find out.
Unveiled in the fall of 2023, the 4th generation Suzuki Swift is almost identical in size to the 3rd generation model. The new, or so they say, Swift is 2 cm longer, has an identical wheelbase, identical height, identical width, identical boot. The track is half a centimeter wider and the ground clearance is half a centimeter lower in the front-wheel drive version, because in some markets an all-wheel drive, all-grip version is also offered. You can tell this is a new generation mainly by the bonnet. Instead of it being located between the front fenders, it is now more of a clamshell design, and from certain angles it looks questionable.
But the devil is in the details, and Suzuki claims that the new, or so they say, model is 4.6% more aerodynamic than the outgoing model. Interestingly, Suzuki has ditched the hidden C-pillar rear door handles in favor of traditional door handles. And here I would like to address the car makers who claim that retractable door handles are necessary for better aerodynamics. Clearly they are not. Look at Suzuki. They have normal door handles, and the new car is more aerodynamic than the old one.
The engine range is not really a range anymore, as there is only a 3-cylinder 1.2-liter unit with a mild hybrid. In the previous generation, the 1.2-liter engine had 4 cylinders, while the 3-cylinder was a turbocharged 1-liter displacement. On top of that, you could choose between a mild hybrid-assisted version or one without. The new engine has a codename Z12E. It outputs 83 horsepower and 112 Nm of torque. It's marginally more powerful than the old 3-cylinder turbo, but it's also marginally less powerful than the old 4-cylinder 1.2-liter. There is still a choice of a 5-speed manual transmission or a CVT.
The boot is the same size as in the previous generation, that's 265 liters in 5-seat configuration. Somehow, with the backrest folded, there is 980 liters, over 30 liters more than in the previous generation, despite the fact that the car's dimensions are almost identical. There is literally one shopping bag hook, and under the carpet is a styrofoam insert with a space for a repair kit, but the repair kit is an option. The rear doors open very wide. Take notes, Toyota. I like those little guides on the seats that are for the seat belts. They keep them from getting in the way when you fold the backrests. It was the same in the previous generation.
There is good legroom and headroom. The Swift may be a 5-seater on paper, but just like other super minis, it's really for 4 passengers. The door pockets accommodate bottles, there are no USB ports or 12-volt outlets, there is no armrest, no air vents. Actually, well, you do get an air vent blowing air on your feet, but only on top trim like this one.
Most visible changes are in the cockpit. So we have the new instrument cluster, we have the new infotainment display, and we have new climate control switchgear. At the bottom of the console are 12-volt and USB outlets, and you can order an optional wireless charger or replace the regular dome light bulb with an LED one. They were trying really hard to fill those accessories catalog pages with just about anything. The new instrument cluster and the new infotainment system are mainly there because of the new European safety regs. So, for example, there has to be a traffic sign recognition system for ESA or Intelligent Speed Assist to work. I'll tell you how to disable it in a moment. Or there is a sensor in the corner of the screen that monitors the driver's attention level. You can cover it and then it stops beeping at you.
Some of the car's settings are on the displays between the gauges. fortunately still analog, and some are on the central display. The quality and the logic of the infotainment system has never been Suzuki's strong point and still isn't. Wireless Android Auto sometimes connects and sometimes doesn't. The same goes for Bluetooth, so hands-free phone isn't a given. Cup holders are at the bottom of the center console, but in a place where I tend to bump my water bottle with my knee. Fortunately, there are also decent-sized door pockets, or I can use the cup holder between the seats as long as the rear passenger is not using it. There is a traditional handbrake and next to it buttons for the heated seats. There is no armrest, but the glove box is good size, especially for such a small car. Other changes include the interior trim. I like the three-dimensional texture on the beige trim bits. I wouldn't mind lumbar support adjustment though.
Before we set off, let's disable ESA. You can toggle through the onboard computer menu using the info button on the steering wheel or this old school stalk sticking out of the gauge cluster.
Toggle to adaptive cruise control view, hold the switch longer, and then you enter the settings menu. It's unavailable while driving. Toggle to traffic sign menu and then select traffic sign recognition alerts and set them to visual only or turn them off completely. It takes some engineering skills to make ESA deactivation worse than in Toyota, but Suzuki has succeeded admirably. Toyota requires 14 clicks, but as of recent you can at least do it on the move.
I realize ESA is a European mandatory system designed to teach drivers to stick to the speed limit, and in principle, this is a valid goal. Unfortunately, European lawmakers don't seem to realize current traffic sign recognition systems are far from perfect. I imagine all of you know places where the system misreads the signs. I know two such places where, regardless of the brand and the price of the car, I get a false reading. In one place, the system reads a sign from a parallel road, and in the other place, there seems to be an outdated sign stored somewhere in the sat-nav maps. It's been like this for ages. Also, good luck driving around a supermarket parking lot at 10 kilometers per hour and not getting honked at by other drivers. ESA is not Suzuki's fault, but based on the way Suzuki implemented the system in the Swift, I would not consider this car regardless of how good it may be in other areas. Some brands have just one button to disarm ESA.
Performance. As I mentioned earlier, according to the spec sheet, the 3-cylinder 1.2-liter engine is slightly better than the old 3-cylinder 1-liter engine, but the old 1.2-liter 4-pot was a bit more powerful. Claimed 0 to 100 km per hour time is 12.5 seconds, but I managed 11.8 seconds. And that's not easy with a rubbery gearbox, which feels like in Peugeots and Citroëns from a decade ago. Claimed fuel economy is 4.4 liters per 100 km combined. While I didn't get close to this result, most small-engine Suzukis get anything between low 5 and high 6 liters per 100 km, regardless of how hard you push them.
Also, regardless of how hard you push the Swift, it's gutless, and that's despite the mild hybrid, which is supposed to marginally improve the performance. The new Suzuki Swift weighs about the same as the last gen model, meaning about 950 kilograms. Okay, it's slightly heavier, but not by much. The suspension has been stiffened, but there is also more travel to make the car handle better on rougher roads. Now, I can't say if that's the case without driving it back-to-back with the previous generation. However, I can say that it rides and handles like a more mature car than one of those low-cost super minis that it is. The steering is precise, visibility is good, soundproofing, well, it's adequate to this price point.
Driver aids for the European market are a letdown though. While adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist work well, 9 out of 10 times the collision warning system intervenes too early or unnecessarily. The one time it intervened correctly was because I was distracted and the driver attention monitoring system failed to remind me to keep my eyes on the road. The systems are mandatory, so Suzuki installs them. Nobody said they have to work well. At least some of them can be easily deactivated with buttons over the driver's left knee. Prices of the Suzuki Swift start at €18,900. This is what a mid-range model cost back in 2017. If you want CVT, you have to go to mid-spec and add €1,600 on top of the manual. Same with all-wheel drive. This is the top trim front-wheel drive manual for €21,100.
The Suzuki Swift has always been a great basic car. However, the new mandatory driver assist features are badly calibrated and or badly implemented. And this means if you have an older Swift, I strongly suggest you keep it running for as long as it makes economic sense. And how do you like the new Suzuki Swift? Do you think this is actually a new generation? Let me know in the comment section below this video.
If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.